Hello, Barcelona family. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to stay updated on everything about Barcelona. In this video, we're going to talk about a huge bombshell for Barcelona. But before that, we need to address other topics that are also very important for our beloved club. Let's move on to the first one. The summer market is starting to heat up, and as a Barcelona fan, I can't help but feel a certain excitement when Barcelona's name resonates strongly again as the protagonist of a possible strategic operation, thought not only for the immediate present but also for the future of the sporting project. This time, the attention is on a young Portuguese talent who is starting to make noise in Europe on his own merits. I'm talking about Rodrigo Moura, the offensive midfielder who shone in his first season as a professional with Porto and who, according to increasingly insistent information, is very close to becoming one of the big targets of the summer at Camp Nou. What is most interesting in all of this, and what drives me to write these lines with a tone of contained enthusiasm, is that Barcelona is not just in the race for Moura, but is the main protagonist. Yes, although from Madrid, they have also set their eyes on the footballer, what seems to be happening in reality is that the player himself wants to wear the blue and deep red jersey. In an era where many young players are seduced by millionaire figures, seeing a talent like Moura show a preference for Barcelona's sporting project is a relief. Because here, it's not just about recruiting for a name, but for an idea, for a style, for a history, and Rodrigo Moura seems to have that clear. The offensive midfielder, just 18 years old, has had a meteoric rise in the first division with 10 goals and 4 assists, making it clear that he is not a product of media exaggeration, but a real player with technical quality, vision, presence, and personality. In a competitive environment like Portuguese football, and even more so in a demanding team like Porto, it is not usual for a young player to take on the offensive protagonism so early. Yet, Moura has done it. His talent has caught the attention of national team selectors and sporting directors, to the point that he has already been called up to the absolute national team of Portugal. But most importantly, he has not hesitated to express to his circle that he would like to play for Barcelona. This point is not minor, because while in Madrid, they tend to rely on the wallet and institutional pressure to seduce young players. At Barcelona, we continue to appeal to the values of the game, to a recognizable proposal that many young players dream of joining. And that is precisely what would have convinced Rodrigo Moura. Hansi Flick's project has been decisive in this. The German coach, who has started his cycle with ambition and a clear vision of what the team needs to become dominant in Europe again, has given the green light to the operation. Flick wants an offensive midfielder capable of unbalancing, with a reading of the game between the lines, and Moura fits this profile. But beyond the tactical, there is an emotional point that we must not neglect. The player wants to come. And when a young footballer wants to come to Barcelona, the logic, the nature, the coherence, is to open the doors for him. It will not be a simple operation. Rodrigo Moura has recently renewed his contract with Porto until 2030, and his release clause is set at €70 million. It's a high figure, no doubt, but not insurmountable if creative payment formulas are considered or if a certain type of sporting compensation is included. The important thing is that, unlike other recent times when we only watched, this time, the club is acting with agility, demonstrating that it intends to compete for emerging talents who can mark an era. Moreover, the fact that the main rival is Real Madrid only adds spice to the matter. And here, it's not about entering into an absurd bidding war or fighting for a player just to subtract him from the eternal rival. It's about something deeper, demonstrating that Barcelona is alive, that it remains an attractive institution for young talents, and that when a player with star potential says, "I want to play at Camp Nou," we respond with determination. Moura is much more than a bet for the future. He is a player who can already contribute. His versatility allows him to move as an offensive midfielder, winger, or even creative midfielder, which fits perfectly into the fluid system that Flick wants to implement. His ability to turn between the lines, to associate in one touch, to break the space, and to define with criteria make him a gem to polish, but also a diamond that already shines on its own. It's true that in this type of operation, there are always risks. Adaptation, the pressure of arriving at a big club, the cost of the investment. But personally, as a Barcelona fan, I prefer to make a mistake by betting on a hungry talent rather than staying paralyzed while watching others strengthen their squads. In a time when the financial margin is reduced, we must make intelligent decisions. And if an 18-year-old already has the quality to make a difference in Portugal, already has minutes with his national team, and wants to come to Barcelona, there's not much to think about. Now, all this excitement for the possible recruitment of Moura must not make us forget another topic that worries me, the possible departure of Eric. This is where, as a supporter, I struggle to understand certain market logics. Eric has been one of the players who has progressed the most in the last season. His performance has been on the rise, and he has shown tactical maturity that is not seen every day in players of his age. Wouldn't it be more logical to strengthen the squad without weakening it in other areas? Because if Mora can be an exciting signing, losing a defender who has shown to be up to the task would also be a contradiction. In any case, the arrival of Rodrigo Mora seems like excellent news to me, a statement of intent from the club, proof that we are working seriously and with a vision for the future. Because if we want to return to the top of Europe, we must mix young talent and experience, bet on the present without mortgaging the future, and in this balance, Mora can be a key piece. The ball is now in the court of the sporting management. The interest is on the table, the coach's green light has been given, and the player's desire is clear. It only remains to finalize. And you, the Barcelona fans, what do you think? Do you think Mora should be a priority in this market? Do you find it wise to bet big on an 18-year-old talent who already excites half of Europe? And what do you think about Eric's situation? Shouldn't we be more cautious before letting him go? As always, the debate is open, but for me, there is no doubt. Rodrigo Mora must wear the blue and deep red jersey as soon as possible, because the future starts now, and Barcelona must be the protagonist, not the spectator. The second piece of news concerns a very important decision in our beloved club. What is happening with Eric Garcia generates a mix of concern and indignation in me. As a Barcelona fan, I cannot understand how, after a season where he has shown notable evolution, we are even considering his departure. This is one of those cases that show a disconnect between what the team needs and what the management seems to want to do. We are not talking about a player who has gone unnoticed, far from it. Eric has been one of the most consistent, committed, and solid players in a year where few have maintained a regular line of performance. And just when he starts to settle in, when we finally see all his potential reflected, the solution is to sell him. I don't understand, and honestly, I think it's a huge mistake. He is only 23 years old, but he has already experienced everything: criticism, loans, moments of maximum pressure. And despite all that, he has managed to mature without losing his way. He has played 44 official matches this season, scored 5 goals, and provided 3 assists. But beyond the numbers, the important thing has been his silent contribution, the one that doesn't always appear in the statistics but changes the defensive behavior of a team. Intelligent coverage, anticipation, security with the ball at his feet, and above all, a leadership capacity in a making that few have at his age. He hasn't needed to raise his voice or make theatrical gestures to be respected on the field. He has been reliable, consistent, professional, and that, in this context, is worth gold. We are not talking about an isolated case of inconsistent talent. Eric has grown, progressed in his positioning, in his ability to read the game, in the way he associates with his teammates from the start of the play. He has become stronger in physical duels, more stable mentally, and much more mature at a competitive level. He is a defender who can play as a center-back, as a full-back, and even provide support as a midfielder at specific moments. Versatile, committed, and with the DNA of the club. What more can we ask of him? That's why, when I hear that the club is considering selling him, I struggle to find a justification. There is talk of interest from Italian club Como, Girona, and Real Sociedad. All 3 teams know what they are doing. They are not pursuing him on a whim. They see a footballer who can contribute from day one, who has experience, who already knows the dynamics of the competition, and who is at an ideal point of maturity. And we, instead of protecting him, guaranteeing his continuity, building a defense around young players like him, are putting him on the market. And the worst part is that we would do it for a figure that, in the current context, is not even particularly attractive, around 20 million euros. Do you really think this is a logical operation? Are we going to part with a player who has not yet reached his peak for an amount that doesn't even allow us to bring in a guaranteed replacement? It worries me that this possible sale responds to the erratic tendency that has harmed us so much in recent years, that of thinking short-term, acting with a calculator in hand without considering the sporting aspect. We have already experienced this before. Players who leave because they don't fit in or because we need to balance the numbers, and who end up triumphing elsewhere, while here, we continue to look for solutions in overvalued markets. We have seen it so many times that it should no longer surprise us, but it still hurts. Because with Eric, the feeling is that we have trained him, we have recovered him, we have given him space to grow, and now that he is starting to consolidate, we are selling him. What message are we sending to the young players coming behind? That effort and improvement guarantee nothing? Moreover, we must not forget that the coach himself has already clarified his position. He wants Eric to stay. Hansi Flick has evaluated his versatility, reliability, and evolution throughout the season. If the coach who has worked with him every day, who has counted on him in key matches, who has seen him grow in training, asks for him to stay, why not respect his decision? It's not just about money. It's about building a coherent project, one that has internal logic, continuity, and a collective sense. And a project like this cannot afford to lose pieces that work on a sporting level. Furthermore, it would be a serious loss. We don't have many defenders with his ability to adapt to different roles without lowering the level. There aren't many who understand the style of play like him, who don't need time to adapt to the system. He knows it, he has lived it since he was little, he is one of us. In a team that wants to regain its identity, this is essential. We cannot constantly change pieces hoping that the new ones will integrate without problems, when we have profiles like Eric at home, who have already shown they are ready. On an emotional level, it would also be a significant loss. Eric represents a type of player with whom many Barcelona fans feel identified, not for being a star or for generating flashy headlines, but for his commitment, humility, and ability to fight against adversities. He didn't lower his arms when the criticism came, he didn't disappear when he was loaned out, he didn't hide in difficult moments. On the contrary, he worked in silence, responded on the field, and earned his place with effort. Players like him are an example in the locker room. They support the competitive spirit, they spread professionalism, they help build the team. Selling Eric, in this context, would be a contradiction to everything we supposedly stand for. We talk about the youth academy, identity, a sustainable project, but when a player who embodies all of that appears, we put him up for sale. What is the point? What good is talking about values if we don't apply them in key decisions? Not everything can revolve around economic balances. There are times when we must bet on our own talent, on the work well done, on the players who have already shown they can be here. As a Barcelona fan, I feel compelled to raise my voice. I don't want us to regret it in 2 years when we see Eric consolidate as one of the best central defenders in the league, but with another jersey. I don't want to have to read headlines saying what a great opportunity the club let slip away. We have experienced it too many times. It's time to learn, to correct, to protect what works. And that's why I pose the question to the Barcelona community. Are we ready to let Eric Garcia go? Do we really think it's a wise decision to sell a player who has overcome every challenge, who has a future ahead of him, who has shown maturity and commitment? Wouldn't it be preferable to give him continuity, to strengthen his position, to build around him? Sometimes, the solution is already at home, and this time, that solution is called Eric. I hope the management understands this before it's too late. The third piece of news concerns a huge bombshell in the club. In a transfer market where every move can determine the fate of an entire season, there are operations that, although not initially appearing media-driven, can become decisive for a team's success. In this sense, I want to share my enthusiasm as a convinced Barcelona fan for the possibility that Fran Garcia, a left-back with great potential, could end up at Camp Nou this summer. His name has started to resonate strongly in the club's corridors, and not without reason. His contractual situation, technical and physical profile, and his willingness to wear the blue and deep red jersey make him a market opportunity we cannot let slip away. It all starts with a situation that is beginning to worry. The possible departure of one of our most promising young players in the left-back position, tempted by a Premier League club with great economic power, has set off alarms. And facing the real threat of losing him, the club has activated the necessary mechanisms to find a reliable alternative. In this context, Fran Garcia emerges, a player who has shown in recent years to be more than a promise, a competitive reality with a league career, European experience, and a profile that fits like a glove into the idea of football we seek to recover under the direction of Hansi Flick. This is not just another rumor. The information circulating in environments close to the player and the club points to a real possibility. Fran Garcia's contract is ending very soon, and he is not part of Real Madrid's plans for next season. His apparent marginalization has led his representatives to move, and Barcelona, intelligently, has begun to consider the option of incorporating him without a transfer fee, that is, recruiting a young fullback trained at the highest level, with experience in the domestic championship and available at zero cost. Who can really question the relevance of such an operation? Hansi Flick has given his approval. The new coach has been clear in his diagnosis. The team needs depth on both flanks, needs fullbacks capable of sustaining the physical pace of current football, who can attack and defend with solvency. And that's where Fran Garcia becomes an interesting piece. His profile adapts to quick transitions, he is aggressive in marking, knows how to project himself in attack with criteria, and has that winning mentality we value so much. Those of us who have seen some of the best fullbacks in history pass through Camp Nou are not talking about an experiment, but a proven footballer who can arrive to contribute from day one. Moreover, there is a symbolic factor that we cannot ignore. The fact that Fran comes from the eternal rival may generate some debate among the fans, I know. But at this stage of modern football, the colors of the past should not prevent us from seeing the quality and commitment of a player. The shield is defended with the heart, with performance, and with commitment on the field. And if the boy wants to come, if his agents have already shown their predisposition, and if he arrives for free, we cannot doubt the fairness of the operation. We are facing one of those opportunities that do not appear every day. Laporta, aware of the delicate economic moment, has been clear in its message. We must strengthen the squad without mortgaging the club's future. And that's where operations like Fran Garcia's fit perfectly, as they allow us to improve the competitiveness of the group without compromising the budget, as they demonstrate that there is a strategy, that we think beyond the headline or the media name, and because, ultimately, they add quality without subtracting sustainability. Now, we must also be honest. All this happens in a context where other priorities are open. We continue to work to strengthen other key positions, from midfield to attack. But precisely for that, being able to conclude a recruitment of this caliber without having to spend millions becomes a strategic move, as it frees up resources to aim high in other areas of the field, and because it allows Flick to build a more balanced squad, with real rotations, with depth in all lines. As a Barcelona fan, I can't help but feel that this type of decision brings us closer to the right path. Enough of improvisations, enough of recruitments by media pressure or nostalgia. We need a young, committed team with projection, but also with character and the desire to conquer the world. And Fran Garcia, in my opinion, has all the ingredients to succeed here. He has the physique, the mentality, the career, and above all, the motivation to prove that he can be important in a big club. And speaking of motivation, what better stimulus for a player than to prove to the club that did not bet on him that they were wrong, because yes, he may have been trained there, but if they do not give him the place he deserves and we are ready to give it to him, I see no reason why it could not work. We have already seen similar stories in the past that ended in success. Because here, it's not about revenge, but about giving space to talent and ambition. And Fran seems to have both in abundance. To the Barcelona community, I pose this reflection. Are we ready to open our minds and evaluate this incorporation from a football perspective, without prejudices? Do we want a better prepared, more competitive, deeper team? Or do we continue to judge by past events and rivalries? For me, it's clear. If a player wants to come, if the coach approves, if the sporting management considers him useful, and if he arrives for free, there is no reason to refuse him. The summer has just begun, but the cards are already on the table. The club has a real opportunity to strengthen one of the most demanding positions in Flick's system without any outlay, and moreover, with a profile that knows the league, has competed at the highest level, and wants to be part of the new Blaugrana project. Fran Garcia can become a key piece in this new cycle that is just beginning. And for me, it would be a resounding success. Now, I ask you all, Barcelona fans at heart, do you see the possible arrival of Fran Garcia at Camp Nou in a positive light? Do you think he can integrate into the project, or does his past weigh too heavily? Personally, I have already taken a stand. I hope we can announce his recruitment soon and that he demonstrates, with commitment and good football, that in this club, one can also grow and triumph, even coming from where no one expected. Here, it's not about past colors, it's about building the best possible team to return to fight for everything. And every step, every recruitment, every intelligent decision brings us closer to that goal. The name of Fran Garcia is on the table, the ball is in our court. Leave us your opinion in the comments.